All right. Well, welcome, Elliott, to Healing as Humans conversation, where we're going to talk about all the things wellness, holistic health, and healing, and dive into your story and what it is that you do. So, for those that do not know, Elliott is the founder of Holistic Living. I pronounced that right, right? Holistic
hmm
Living. And I got to try it out for the first time actually a couple of weeks ago, and it was amazing. Everything that he showcases in his offerings there are truly unique. Things that I really haven't experienced before, such as quantum biofeedback, pulse electromagnetic frequency. Is that correct? Which was
hmm
really interesting because it works on such a subtle level, and we'll get him to talk a little bit more about that. Did some red light therapy. And then there was also a full body vibration plate where that was one of the coolest things I tried because I've never had an experience like that before where the whole body's vibrating as you're moving and it gets right into like the micro muscles and energy in the body really is what it feels like. But the reason why I wanted to talk to Elliott is because him and I have been connected online in the sphere for quite a while, and
It's
I've
years, I
got to
think.
see his journey over the past little while and see how he's grown into what he's bringing forth now and stepping into 2025 with. So we're going to dive into all the things healing. And Elliott, before I open up the floor to questions to you, do you want to tell people who might be listening a little bit about you and if you had to sum up what it is you're offering to people of service right now in a couple sentences, what would it be?
Yeah. So you want to know like just like a little bit about me first, or you want me to just dive in?
Let's hear a bit about you first. Yeah.
So I'm not like your average person. My perspective on life, what's possible, just the realm and the way in which I've like lived has been very altered from your average person from a very young age. I got into energy healing, took my first course, paid for it at 11 years old. That completely shaped my whole reality to be like different than most people from that young. Knowing like how to heal energetically, knowing, what I knew about Western medicine and like how to look at healing and look for the root cause. So that just like dramatically changed everything. And so my whole life has been shaped through this different lens and way of seeing the world and the way of operating inside of the world and relating to myself and relating to others and understanding quantum biofeedbacks and I'm sorry, quantum physics in this sense of like what's possible in the realm of like how you can just manipulate the world and matter and just like everything around you. Um, so that's like the first thing. I got into quantum biofeedback about 10 years ago. So I've been practicing for 10 years. Um, I started when I was 21 after coming out of massage therapy program at Georgian College. And yeah, that really just like started the journey as to like why I wanted something that I could have as like a conduit to be able to do energy work and have like a medium or like a liaison for like this and something physical because it was back then and I don't like to say back then like I'm like super old or anything like that but like literally 10 years ago
Yeah.
you know energy work wasn't something that was like super big. It was still very and still is kind of like woo woo. It's a
Yeah.
lot more commonly accepted now with like Reiki and like a lot of different things coming out and it just becoming more general knowledge.
Hmm.
Um, but back then, like you really did need something, like I feel like to be able to like have to attract a greater market. So quantum biofeedback became that for me because it was basically emulated what I was able to do with my energy and what I knew about how to like work with energy and through the body using the UN method, um, but in a supercomputer that was quantum biofeedback. So that basically started everything. What was your second question?
It was really just to say a little bit about you and if you could sum up your mission and what you
Ah,
want to be of service for in this world to people, what would it be?
hmm. So I have like a right now mission, and then I have something that's like a bigger one. I'm not gonna go into the bigger one now, but to quickly sum it up, essentially it's to empower people to have the knowledge, the wherewithal, the skills, the techniques, the tools to be able to take care of themselves and to create health sovereignty,
Mhm.
where they're not relying on a system that I don't believe is in their best interest, that doesn't address root causes. Um, the whole reason behind this and the reason that I see this to be like the stepping stone for creating the biggest amount of change is starting with one person at a time and having that like ripple out. I believe that when you are in harmony, when you're in alignment with yourself on all levels, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, physically, spiritually, you're definitely going to be in higher alignment with your higher self as well as your truest purpose here
Yep.
or your mission or your highest alignment, highest good, whatever you want to, whatever word
Yep.
you want to use.
Your dharma.
Your dharma, exactly. Um, to fulfill on inside of this lifetime, inside of this incarnation. So that's like one of the greatest ways that I can support on an individual level.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I stand for this because I've been able to heal through things that I've been told were not going to be medically possible. And so like I want to be that possibility for others and to breathe life into that for others and to show them like, like really I truly believe that you can heal from anything. And um yeah, I hold that space for others to live into as a possibility. So
Incredible. Yeah. I resonate so much with a lot of what you shared and your mindset around getting to root cause. I do feel that, especially with the way that I feel I was brought up and the society I was brought up in, it was taboo to think of unconventional ways to heal yourself for the longest time. But I'm so happy that in the past while, there has been more and more people stepping forth like you who are saying, no, we can get to the roots. There are ways to heal yourself naturally, energetically, and it is all encompassing. Like, we can't just look at a human being as like one piece, right? We're a whole and complete being. Then there's so much in that to look at. And so I feel that's what you're really focused on is empowering people in that way to take full responsibility for all aspects and pillars of their health. And it's really cool to hear that you've healed yourself as well. And that's the question I was going to ask you next is that I read that you did heal yourself with a knee injury naturally. Can you talk a little bit about that and how it kind of led you on a trajectory to learn more about healing?
yeah, so I mean, I had the quantum biofeedback device, right? I'd already been doing energy work. I injured my knee like so many times and like pretty much every other part of my body except for breaking bones, which is looking back now, I kind of wish that I had just broken some bones and not had to go through some of all the other crazy stuff. But from getting hit by a car to like yeah, I
Wow.
was hit by a car, flew friggin' like 21 feet, hit at 60 kilometers an hour, having to rehab from that, then like having knee surgery. Um, I jumped out of a tree and my knee kind of went like side to side and it's like totally. I was stuck at like 90-degree angle bent for 3 months. I was pretty stubborn, saw 3 orthopedic surgeons. They all told me the same thing. They said you're not going to be able to open your knee. You have a bucket handle tear, which is when your meniscus basically, if this is like your knee joint and
Yeah.
there's like it goes like this, the meniscus slid like inside, so it wouldn't be able to open or close. So it's
Wow.
stuck at 90 degrees. So that's what a bucket handle tear is. And I definitely had a bucket handle tear, but then I ended up finding like this woman, goes by Tesla Latouche, and she ended up becoming a friend of mine. Um, she had a lot of these different technologies, and so I started doing quantum biofeedback on her as a trade-off. After I paid her a couple times, and within one session of doing full spectrum medical grade infrared sauna in like a solo unit, I was able to extend my knee pretty much from this to this within 3 hours.
Wow.
And then I was working with full body vibration after that. And so I was like, okay, after I'd healed, gone through surgery, doctors basically told me, first of all, they were kind of astounded that I was able to come into the surgery with my leg not bent at a 90 degrees. Kind of went in one ear, out the other when I told them what it was that I did. Um, and I was like, okay, like more people need to know about this and like have access to these kinds of things, right? Um, and yeah, they wanted me to come back for ACL surgery, and they said you're not going to be able to walk or run again the same unless you do.
Mm,
And it was, I
that's
just rehabbed. I'd been like rehabbing, it stuck for 3 months, rehab for 3 months. 6 months goes by, and it's like summertime, and I'm just like, I'm not going under the knife. This is not happening. This is the summer. Like I'm not. I knew how much instability more it was going to create in my life, and how much more work it was going to be, and I was just like, I'm not doing it.
yeah.
So yeah, I'm here today is living testament as to like what's possible, and definitely has been a ride. And yeah, it requires continual upkeep, continual work. Um
That's
yeah, so
huge. That's huge. Going from that level of injury to where you're at now, incredible. And the fact that like many people get the ACL surgery or injury, and I've heard so many stories of people actually not being able to fully move the way that they did again after that. But it sounds like just through this rehabilitation and keeping your body in optimal well-being, you are able to somewhat have your quality of life almost back, right? Would you say that it's
I
pretty
wouldn't even say somewhat. I mean, I go to ecstatic dance. I run if I want to run. I jump
amazing?
however I want to jump. I
Yeah,
can still do backflips, front flips, side flips. Like I can do it all. Like there's
yeah,
no, it doesn't exist as a limitation in my mind.
yeah,
And I think that's like the biggest thing when it comes to injury is like even if you're healed physically, if up here you still relate to yourself as injured, you're injured. Doesn't
yeah.
matter.
Yeah.
The bad knee, the injured knee. What?
I need my plug.
What plug? Sorry.
It's okay. Is that Mama?
Yeah, Mama Bear.
Hi. How are you?
Recording there. Just so
Sorry.
you know. Bye.
That's how it is, folks.
Yeah,
All good.
we all live.
Yep. Well, yeah, that's huge. And would you say that like okay, so I'm imagining that during that time of your life, there's also like lots of lows because when you're given certain feedback from professionals saying like this might be your reality or you're dealing with an injury that limits your ability to do things, like did you have to go through mental lows and like what
Oh.
was that like that experience of dealing with it mentally at certain points?
Yeah. Honestly, if I didn't have like I'll give the credit to like friends and family. Um and and then like both instances when I got hit by the car and also when I went through the knee surgery, like one of my biggest supports is like a forever brother of mine, like really, really close. He's a family friend, but like I don't consider him a family friend. He's like to me, he's blood, you know?
Yeah.
Known him my whole life. He's known me. Our families have grown up together. Like my dad and him went to school together. Um, it was like a really big support structure and system for me. Like we talked all the time, and um, from loss of money, not being able to work, from feeling gross to not being able to bathe as much to not being able to have like go out and get like my hair cut, not being able to walk for 3 months. Like imagine like what not being able to walk for like 3 months like can really do to you.
Yeah.
The thinking, oh my God, I may never walk or run again the same. And to like know how I am as a being that's just like so free inside of his body and agile and just like sports driven and active. It's like I literally was like, if I can't do this, like I don't want to live.
Wow.
Um, so there's definitely like a lot of depression to move through. And that's like one of the hardest things when it comes to injury and why mindset is like so key. And to have like support structures around you is so key. Like I wouldn't have been able to do it if not for that. After like starting the recovery process, it's like a different story. Like you've already moved through some of that.
Mm.
The problem is like some people get stuck up on that afterwards, where it's like I've injured so many things and bounced back each friggin' time. So like I know what's possible and I've done it. And um but when you have something big like this, like it really rattles me. Like it really rattled me um to the core. And so yeah, it's there's still certain things that still reside there that like I haven't done yet. Some things just because of money, other things is because it's just like um fear and like not knowing if I really want to open that up potentially again
Wow.
and if
Yeah.
it's worth it. And like that's skiing, like yeah. I would really like to go at some point, but like I know that I just need to get to myself to a place where I'm like, yeah, this is like I'm fully good.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
um
You're getting there.
I can
No.
do everything else, and just the
Yeah.
skiing part. Like once I do that, I'm like, okay, like I'm fucking king of the world, you know?
Yeah, I mean, you're already doing a static dance, so you're
Yeah.
one step away at this point, but yeah, that's a part of the journey. And thanks for being transparent, honestly, about what it was like, even in the low points of feeling like at the lowest point of recovery where you didn't know if there was going to be a time where you'd be able to walk again. I can't even imagine that. And when I hear people's stories about that, it does always humble me because it's like, wow, the little things we take for granted, right? That you don't realize until it's gone how essential it is. So I'm sure that gave you perspective on life too, of just like taking things not taking things for granted, maybe. But your story reminds me a lot too of Joe Dispenza. I don't know if you ever heard of his story about how he got into what he did, but he actually was biking and he got hit by a car. And something happened to his spine where the doctor said he wouldn't be able to walk again. And he said, I'm going to put my full healing into like visualizing a future version of me that's healed every single day and meditate on that. And
Yeah.
through like the power of the mind, he was actually able to
Yeah.
speed up his recovery. And he always touts what he does now to being able to visualize that future self. And that's what he teaches a lot of people who come to his, I guess you could say, like retreats or things that he holds. So that reminds me a lot of your story too, and how important it is to have that mindset. And
Yeah. It's
yeah,
definitely key. The mindset is definitely like the most key thing, especially when moving forward after injury, like post injuries, like reconditioning the mind, reconditioning the neural pathways, like because subconsciously, unconsciously, you're teaching and training your body how to act and how to react and how to be within itself.
yeah,
And so like that's definitely key. And that premise that, Joe uses is has existed far longer than Joe Dispenza. It dates back to like earlier, before, and even through Napoleon Hill. So
yeah, I
yeah,
believe it. I
yeah.
believe it. Would you say that, because I know that plant medicine is something that's been a part of your journey in many different ways, and you've spoken to me about it before, and I just want to know how that's been an integral part of who you are, like where you are right now, and a part of your healing journey, essentially.
Hmm. Healing journey in what sense?
Have you,
You mean healing journey or like my spiritual evolution?
I mean, you go all in wherever you feel it led you, but the reason why I brought up plant medicine is because I know that it opens up a lot of things. And as we know, like using that can really alter your mind and the way you see life in the world. So I just was curious about how that was for you.
So, I mean, I've definitely smoked a lot of weed in my life.
Yeah.
It's not something I really partake in that much anymore. And if I do, it's something that I do like ceremonially. It's not like my sensitivities to things energetically has like exponentially increased. Um, I used to have a toxic relationship with cannabis. And so the thing that people like really need to understand when it comes to working with plant medicine, there's what's I've been taught and told as God plants. So these are teacher plants. They are cannabis. There's peyote. There's mescaline. There's ayahuasca. There's magic mushrooms. All these different things are all God plants. They're teacher plants. Um, San Pedro, Bufo, um, and they all have a different medicine. And when the relationship with this medicine becomes unbalanced, it will create disharmony in your life. So it created like for me, it taught me a lot. Like cannabis taught me so much about myself and was like a fundamental part of me. It's just played so many different roles in my life, um, with helping me cope through variety or various different events from pain to being able to tune into my energy in different ways. But most recently, I'd say I've worked more with Kambo, with magic mushrooms, um, and Bufo. So my experiences with Bufo, sorry, my experiences with Kambo started 2 years ago, and it actually came to me after Soulshine. It came into my radar, like into my awareness, and I was like, yeah, I wanna work with that stuff. Like, didn't really know too much about it, and I was like, but this is the call was really there, and I ended up going to Quebec, to sit with someone who's a friend of mine. I didn't even know that it was her at the time, that I was be sitting with, and I'd known her actually through Landmark. Funny enough.
Oh,
Yeah, I met her like 8 years ago. It's like we'd known each other and then like drifted and then like came back. So it's super crazy how the world works. And that was a time in my life when I was really looking to embody like more of the masculine, divine masculine energy. I was looking to have like more of my gifts come online, my abilities come online. I was looking for to move through and transition into like out of my painting business at the time with my uncle, as well as I was moving through some relationship stuff with this woman from France, this young woman from France who was I was deeply in love with, and yeah, just all the different things, and it was really a catalyst for me, and it gave me all of that and more. That sparked a lot that really opened things up, that led me to Kundalini yoga, that led me to working with 5-MeO, that like opened me up to being able to channel different, um, for lack of better words, ancient language or light language, to being able to channel and work with energy in a manner where you're able to do clearings on like multiple different dimensional planes of existence. Sometimes I don't even know what it is that I'm doing, but things are just happening, and it's like just like I'm just like a space and a channel for like the energy just to come through. Um, Now to a point where I've worked with Bufo and I've been um, working with Babaji Kriya Yoga lineage teachings and daily practices. And I've been guided through Babaji's guidance, um, not to be working with medicines. I've worked a whole bunch with Krape to help with clearing, grounding, various different things, tuning into another field, which has so many different uses with overcoming patterns, with clearing energy, to asking for support for various different things. Now at the point, like I said, I've worked with Bufo and literally it's brought me to another state of awareness, um, another abilities to work energetically in that realm as if I'm in a plant medicine ceremony with Bufo, but totally conscious, sober here. The energy that I've experienced working with certain people, even at the open house, has been nuts. Like I didn't even expect people to have like some of the cathartic releases that they had um, while I'm doing energy work on them and they're stretching. It's like people screaming, people crying, just like the visions and the things that can come through now that like I'm seeing, like, oh, like this is related to this and da 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 da. It's
Wow.
like I'm living in a completely different world and have a different experience of reality and life than I ever have.
Yeah.
It's been like a massive catalyst to higher states of awareness.
Sounds like it's really opened you up in many different ways. And yeah, the things that you've been able to evolve in spiritually because of plant medicine and then also like your energetic journey sounds like you've come a really long way. So thanks for sharing a bit of that. Um, would you say, because one of the questions I wrote, but I feel like we already touched upon it, but would you say that your injury was one of the most pivotal experiences that shaped you, or is there something else that has happened that you feel has been pivotal to shape you into wanting to be a healer for other people and a guide?
I think from my experience, like each injury that I've sustained that's like really taking me out, like really every injury has a purpose. And when you look at it and you dissect it as to why did these things happen the way that they did, and like what's the purpose behind it, and like what's the cause, and like what am I gonna do with this, um, is is a pivotal moment. The biggest ones were definitely like the car accident, and the knee surgery. And I find that like during these points where all that I'm working on is myself, I become the most in tune, in sync, in resonance with my divine essence and my gifts and my naturally inherent abilities to the point where it's like I have like the totality, like things are flowing in a completely different way. So like those have definitely been pivotal moments. Um, I'd say I always knew like what it was that I wanted to do, to help people. Like I always knew that I wanted to help people and help people to heal. But like things started definitely becoming a little bit more solidified rather, um, when I healed from that last surgery because I started acquiring like different tools, different technology, and it really like yeah, I became like a medical phenomenon for the conventional medicine, like I did what was impossible. So that to me was probably yeah, like the biggest pivotal moment and that still gets me to keep going forward with what I'm up to.
Hmm. Wow. Yeah, it's a powerful one that I think is going to stay with you. But the journey's only really beginning too, because now you're fully stepping into this. Is like with something you've been working on for so long. And I know you also dabble in like men's groups as well. And I wanted to talk about your experience of like being in community with other men and why you feel it's needed right now, and also
Mhm.
how you've grown and expanded from being in community with men.
Yeah, it's a really good subject. So my men's work thing kind of started like 2 years ago, my journey into like men's work. Um, and it really just started from being in commune with men, and being able to open up and be real. And not that I had any like problems with doing that, but it was completely different to like feel and to understand like, wow, like we all have like this burden, this thing that we're carrying, and to being able to have the space to be able to talk about it to feel it, to be seen, to be heard. Most men don't have those spaces to be heard, to be authentically listened to allow themselves to feel all of the emotions and all the feelings without any judgment, to be held through all of that. It's for sure less and less of a thing in today's day and age. And it's definitely something that's even more challenging for men to do with women. Um, to let that vulnerability, that side of vulnerability be seen, be shown, be felt, because then we'll be deemed as weak, or our kindness or our vulnerability will be used against us. So in today's day and age where, mental health, and especially after COVID, like is rampant, um, in
Absolutely.
today's day and age where 70% of suicides, or I think it's 73% of suicides are men,
Yeah.
um, where men don't talk about things, where masculinity is under attack, where men don't know how to feel, how to express, how to emote, where they think that they're just living in a different paradigm, where they think that it's weak, or there's like some perspective around that vulnerability and even having emotions that are not, you know, great or happy or whatever, and being able to talk about them and having that normalized is it's something that's totally out of whack. Firstly. Secondly, the reason why I think men's work is so important is because it brings into awareness and into consciousness all the parts of the self of a man to start coming into being in unity within himself, between the masculine and the feminine. And then when a man is able to do that and be more conscious, what that does is it makes him safe. He's not going to be as reactive. He's not, hopefully, he's not going to be someone who's um, going to cause other people pain. He's not going to be acting from a place of hurt. He's not going to bleed all over other people, his wounds and his traumas when he comes into a partnership or into conscious relationship. Um, and men are protectors. Men are protectors, men are warriors. We embody the four archetypes of king, lover, magician, and warrior. And inside of that, men are generally the containers, whereas women are like the flow, the creators. Like you guys are magical beings that are like the womb men of the portals that, connect to the divine. So you guys live in the mystics, whereas we ground in the 3D, this reality. We protect the women and the children so that they can do the magic and the work that they're meant to do here. We provide security, safety. And without men being conscious and without men being able to be in unity within themselves, how can we come into unity with women? How can we create this less of polarities? And when that's really possible, I really think that we're coming into this day and age of Hirigamos, which is the unity of the divine,
Mm.
masculine and feminine. It's been prophesized about by various different um, cultures, tribes, and that this is really the day and age that we're in right now. And so I believe it's the utmost of the utmost importance, and that men need the support the most. Women have been doing this work for a very long time.
Mhm.
There's so many women's circles, you see them left, right, and center. Go find a men's circle. Go find one online. It's like, unless you're already in it, it's hard to find them. Go find men's help. Go look it up on Facebook. Up until like a non-private group, up until like, I don't know, 2 months ago, there was none. I'm the first one in Toronto and GTA. So it's
Yeah.
like
It's very
men.
sparse.
Yeah, like it's like almost like a coven. Like, like you need to know about it to know about it. It's like so underground. Like this is why like I support Bold and Centered. This is why like I'm doing what I'm doing. This is why like I advocate for it. I speak about it. I'm not afraid to show vulnerability. I'm not afraid to cry in front of a camera to emote because I have to be an example and a representation as to what I embody and what I want others to feel is possible for them to step into. And like, you can be like this. This is completely fine. This is normal. You're
Yeah.
safe to actually be like this. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
men's.
first of all, like, whew, amen, brother, to everything that you were saying, and just like absolutely powerfully articulated. And I can see how grounded you are in that truth, the way it just flowed out of you. I felt it. And I think I can't even get into how much I think that is needed for men right now. In my experience of not only being in relationship with men, but also just what I've witnessed in my lifetime right now, with most men, especially in the GTA in Toronto, where we're from, being lost in that sense of not having come into union with owning both their masculine and feminine, being able to express these more vulnerable parts of self, and being able to both also ground in a healthy masculine. It's almost as if there's an imbalance at play, and then an inability to know how to ask for help and know where to even seek the tools to be able to have balance in both. So the fact that you're a part of a conversation like this, a community like this, we definitely have to link some of these resources below, and I'm all for it. I think um, it is hopefully something, like you said, we are stepping into, and I think it's very much needed. So yeah, I loved everything you shared with that for sure. Um,
Thank
Going
you.
into 2025 now, yeah, of course. What do you say your mission and how you want to be a guide is really calling you right now for this new year coming forth? Like, what's your priority this year?
Um, I mean, given that I just like had my soft launch open house, like I'm definitely going to be having a bigger version of one. I've gotten some downloads around like what and some suggestions from people around to like what can be implemented to make it that much better. So, definitely more workshops, more immersion of community, bigger events, um, some retreats, definitely for sure. Some men's work retreats, some definitely a lot of collaborations I feel and see on the horizon, and like expansion of networks, and cross-pollination, cross-marketing, like I think the more we can like share each other's successes and share each other's talents and each other's skills and gifts, like the more that we're going to be able to create a bigger impact. And it's not about like the scarcity bullshit mindset of, oh, like I need like these clients over here. It's like, like that's my network. And it's like there's so much wealth and there's so much abundance and there's so much to go around. It's like, and I don't have everything that you need, and you don't have everything that I need. So like, why could I expect that I can help everyone? It's like, no, we each have like the things that we're good at, and like people are gonna gravitate to whoever they're meant to be working with. So it's like just really supporting one another. So I really I'm creating a community of like people that I support, that I vet, that I stand behind, that I want to see succeed, that want to see me succeed. Um, I'm gonna definitely be launching another open house with some workshops. I see there to be men's work there, women's work there, maybe even like a sound healing workshop or whatever. Like, and then also the holistic healing side of it as well, with like, with the facility, definitely being a part of that. In relation to the men's work sector, I'm going to be doing a lot more training this year. I'm stepping into a role with Bold and Centered where they're opening up a children's program, for lack of better words, a young people's program, young men's program. And I don't know exactly what it entails fully yet, but there'll definitely be some rite of passage ceremonies. Um, And if the opportunity arises, which I'm sure it will, and I've already been asked, I'm going to be a big brother. So inside of that, that looks like being a mentor for someone younger.
Mm.
And there's no bigger honor for me than to be able to mentor the youth, to show, to teach, to explain, to just like be this place in this person's life and this figure where not only are you looked up to, but you can really make like an impactful difference. And I've done this in various different points in my life where I've changed the course of action of someone's life. And it's like, wow, like that to me, it's like that's something that will always forever stay with you.
Yeah.
That stays with me, sorry. Um, and one of the big things that I'm like really looking forward to is once my business hits like 100% capacity. And what I mean by that is it's fully functioning on itself. I don't need to do lead generation. Like it's working on referral or it's working off its website or whatever the case may be, is going to be the philanthropy project. And like I've already started planting seeds with people. I've already started talking about it. The vision's there. I see it. I feel it. I like, and this is like one of the biggest pieces for me that will lead to the next thing. Um, and what that is a reintegration of people who are less fortunate or homeless into society, giving them access to all of the things that, like us spiritual people do, whether that be sound healing, ecstatic dance, um, vocal alchemy, um, song circles, friggin' men's work, women's work, being able to like really be integrated in these spaces of healing where they would never be able to have access to these kinds of things because it's A, not on their radar, B, they're not exposed to it, C, they don't have the money for it. I see the regular folk or general population paying for all of this. I see all the food being donated by local restaurants, local distributors. I want there to be, and I see there to already be hairdressers, makeovers, body workers, shower stations, communities that these people can go and live and work at, where they'll be reintegrated, they'll have purpose and have meaning, where they can actually heal.
Mm.
Because you can't do that in this society because you just gotta fucking survive. And that's like the first step, That's really the first step of like healing on this completely other realm and way that hasn't been touched on before. And I just see it and feel it. And I know that it's going to come through and that I'll have the support there and the people that are going to be on my team to really bring this through to fruition.
Wow. I am really touched by that, and I can see you are too. Thank you for sharing your philanthropy project and then what you feel your purpose is right now going into the new year. And hey, listen, like you have my full support when that does start to come into fruition. I am there. I'm fully backing it 100%. And I just see how needed that is too, and how important it is, and what that can do to for people in society who are human beings that have lost their way, that don't have the right support and tools. There's not enough accessibility for them to reintegrate back into society. There's not enough support. And this kind of support can mean everything. So I think that's beautiful and amazing. So thanks for sharing that. And yeah, that's a big one for sure. And I don't even think you have to wait till your business is fully 100% at capacity. Like start now. Like the way you shared that vision just now, like I'm moved by it and I'm willing to be involved like at this moment. So it's like if you can start spreading that now, who knows, someone might listen to that and say, I'm willing to take the reins on that, the lead on that right now while you are building this, and you can still be involved. But just enroll on that vision. And I think that the people will show up, and it's very needed, right?
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I hear that. And there's a little bit of a struggle there for me in relation to just like getting that fully like, off the ground and putting it out there and letting someone
Yeah.
else take the reins because like and the only thing behind that and the reason why is because when something's like birthed through, like someone's got to hold it energetically, someone's got to hold it and carry it and like do all the things. And in order for me to like really do that, like right now, I'm putting 110% everything into my business and into my soul service and like really getting that to a place where it's like, like I can relax a little bit more.
Yeah.
Getting the website and everything going, and I feel and I've like kind of seen into like the timeline as to once that's there, it's like there's a level of comfort that's present and a level of abundance that's also present, and like from that state of abundance, calling in more abundance, calling in like community, and calling in prosperity is so much more easy to actualize.
Hmm.
Um, and that's the reason why like I'm choosing to do that way. And like unfortunately right now I need to be a little bit selfish or not selfish, but centered within self um while I'm creating this. Um I'm
Yeah.
enjoying the fact that it's winter season right now and I get to like hibernate and be like very inward
Yeah.
while I create this foundation and like build upon it within myself and like in all areas of my life and soul service. And yeah, who knows? Like honestly, my timeline that I've written down is within a year. So I'm
Yeah.
things are pushing.
Yeah.
We're going.
You're going full speed ahead, and I get that completely. I know that you have this thought out and you have your vision right in front of you, and yeah, I'm here in your corner, and I'm supporting where you're at right now. I think it's amazing. Before we wrap up
Yeah.
our conversation, just wanted to know if you wanted to close with anything that you want to give advice to people about if they are on a journey right now and maybe they're feeling like, oh my gosh, like are things going to get better, or I'm stuck and I'm here and I'm healing, but like I don't really see the light at the end of the tunnel. Like what can you give people as advice?
Hmm. I think the biggest advice is that if you allow yourself to really feel, to be present, to take time to slow down, to tune in regularly. All the answers to all the questions, with all of the guidance, is really just within. And inside of that place of stillness, there's always an opportunity to pray, to connect to your higher self, your subconscious mind, source, to God, to whomever, whatever it is that you believe in. And the power of prayer is irreplaceable. And I really believe in that. And I really believe that that's the biggest thing is faith, prayer, faith. The definition of faith is blind trust. But I think it's so much more than just blind trust. I like to think of faith as like undeniable knowing.
You,
On the inside of that, like there's so much power and conviction. And that's where a lot of the times you can draw strength from if you are like in a place of weakness, is that connection to source. That's where you can get all the love that you deserve, that you need. So you have access to everything is within, and from within to without, from above so below, and so it is.
beautiful. Thank you, Elliot. Thank you for dropping in, speaking from the heart. And I really appreciated this conversation with you. And I'm sure many other people who do watch this will. And keep being you and keep pushing along in the vision and being vulnerable and showing up. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Alexia, for having me and for choosing me to come on here and be interviewed and giving me the time, the space, platform to share myself unbridledly and to share my story and my vision, my mission, and what's brought me to where I am here today. And look forward to doing this again if you are open to it at some point. Maybe there'll be a different purpose
Yeah,
behind it, but yeah, count me in for whatever there is for the future that's next. I'm honored and privileged to have you in my corner, and just thank you so much.
of course. Thank you.